Today's topic is common sense. And if you've got 5 minutes, I've got 5 tips to help you identify those mistakes you might be making in terms of applying your common sense to your writing and your writing career. French writer Christian Collange once wrote, "Common sense is perhaps the most equally divided but surely the most underemployed talent in the world." And when it comes to people's writing aspirations, my observations over 30 years as a writer and a writing teacher have been that there seems to be a lack of common sense among writers, and that seems to be getting worse. I've observed 5 common sense mistakes that new writers and even some more experienced writers make. So I've got some tips to help you overcome these 5 common sense mistakes. Common sense mistake number 1, sending your manuscript, whether it's for a book or a magazine article, to an agent or an editor or a magazine or a publisher that doesn't deal with that genre. This is really just a simple common sense kind of thing. Why would you send your piece of writing to someone who is clearly not interested in that kind of material? In fact, that person might actually loathe that kind of material. Some editors like science fiction. Some wouldn't read a piece of science fiction if their life depended on it. And don't for a moment think that your piece is going to be so brilliant that you're going to change the mind of that editor or agent. The moment they see what your piece is about, or what your book is about, or what your proposal is about, they're not going to read any further. It's just simple common sense. Find someone who actually likes the material that you're interested in writing about. Common sense mistake number 2, interacting on social media with only other writers in an effort to sell books. Now let's think about this for a minute. This just doesn't make any sense at all. On Facebook, for example, or LinkedIn, those are the 2 big areas where people belong to groups. And on those groups, if they are writing groups designed for writers to help writers, well, let's not get into how problematic that can be anyway. But if your reason for being there is because you want to sell your book, you're in the wrong place. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you be trying to connect with other writers? You should be trying to connect with readers. And if you think about this even a little bit more carefully, ask yourself this question. In those sites, when other people post their information about their books, how many times do you actually go ahead and buy their book? I suggest to you, you probably don't do it very often. Stop wasting your time. It doesn't make any sense. It's not common sense to connect only with writers when what you really want to do is connect with readers. Common sense mistake number 3, and this is one I alluded to in the last common sense mistake. Spending your time on social media in writers' groups to get advice on your writing. Now, why does this not have any common sense in it at all? It's because the other people there are in the same point in their career in their writing as you are. Asking for advice from other people who have no more experience or expertise in writing than you do is kind of like asking your brother-in-law for advice on your writing, unless your brother-in-law happens to be a best-selling author. In that case, go ahead and ask him. But the fact is that it doesn't make any sense for you to spend time asking questions of people who don't know any more about it than you do. The best writing advice comes from seasoned writers, comes from experienced writers who are not on those groups. I'm going to tell you right now, they are not there. And it comes from people who have spent years honing their craft or learning how to teach writing. Those are the people you should be asking for advice on your writing. Common sense mistake number 4, not spending every moment that you're not writing, every extra moment, every moment that you can find when you're not writing, reading. What I mean to say is, if you're spending all of your free time watching sports on TV, watching Netflix movies, playing video games, and not reading, then you're shortchanging yourself. It doesn't make any sense. We learn to write by reading widely, so you should be spending extra time that you have reading. So you need to open your mind, Read widely, because if you don't, you're going to be a shitty writer. End of discussion. Common sense mistake number 5. Thinking that writing comes naturally and you don't need to learn or practice your craft. In what world does it make any sense that you don't need to learn how to do something? Talent is important, but talent is by no means enough. Talent has to be cultivated and talent has to be honed. There was a learning curve when you learn to drive a car, if you want to learn to knit, if you want to learn to bake or to cook or to ride a horse. It takes practice and it takes study. And it's no different when it comes to your writing. It doesn't make any sense that you should think you should be able to write right off the top. You need to find yourself some resources that will help you to hone your craft. Common sense is sound judgment applied to practical matters. Apart from the actual writing itself, which is the creative aspect of what we do, all of the other things like editing and publishing and promoting books, all of these are practical matters. And don't you think that a little common sense needs to be applied to these common matters as well? That's it for me for today. Talk to you soon. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat, and maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills. 5 tips at a time.